For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. Welcome back to the Dominion Podcast. My name is Jeremy.
And I'm Alex.
And we're happy to be back here again.
We are.
Nice to be making a bit more of an effort lately, trying to get these out on a regular basis. So hopefully they're, worthwhile for our faithful viewers and our unfaithful viewers too,
Anyway, really.
Any viewers, all 5 of you out there.
You are recording this, right?
Yes, I am. In multiple places.
It's good to be back.
Got a fail safe for the fail safe. Yeah, it is good to be back. How has your week been going so far? I suppose it's only begun.
Yeah, we had a long weekend. Obviously, family day, and the school took Friday off, so the family was home, and that's always nice. So yeah, we just had a lot of downtime. And
what do you guys do at home? You guys play a lot of games, read together. Like, what's a lazy afternoon at the Kloosterman home like, if that ever happens?
Yeah, I mean, we don't really have too many of them. Like, we're pretty busy until like nighttime, and then Beck especially is always read to the girls a lot. Like, she likes reading out loud.
Yeah.
I actually don't like reading out loud. But she reads to them a lot, and we spend a lot of time, we're around each other a lot. But to be honest with you, we have a very, like, I don't want to say busy, but like productive home.
Yeah.
Like, we're always, and because of the girls, the nature of their education, to be honest with you, they work a lot.
Yeah.
So
lots of homework.
Yeah, they have lots of homework, and I actually try really hard. They have chores and stuff. I try really hard to limit that because they work so hard at school, and they're very diligent and responsible children. I have to actually try and kind of force everyone, Beck included. She's just a very hardworking woman. Like, we have to discipline ourselves to stop, all of us.
Right.
So it's kind of one way we don't complement each other in that, Rebecca and I. And so, yeah, we try to go on walks together and read books and, but to be honest, our home is just a very busy place. It's a productive place. But
lots of visiting and fellowship
like, exactly.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's a happy home.
It is a happy home.
Yeah.
I wouldn't describe our home as a leisurely home, but it is a happy home. I'll put it that way.
Well, funny you should mention leisure. I just listened to one of the latest podcasts today. They did one on leisure and kind of what AI is going to mean for that. Just because a lot of the people pushing AI are basically thinking this is going to eliminate all work. So life can be pure leisure.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot to say about that. Anyway, I recommend that one if anybody's a fan of the podcast.
Yeah, the podcast is one of the few. It's the only one off the top of my head that I actually consistently enjoy listening to.
Yeah.
I just find most content these days is noise. It annoys me.
Yeah.
It's not very thoughtful. I get bored of it quickly, and that could be a problem with me too. But that's the only one I can think of where I'm like, this is worthwhile.
It's usually very thoughtful, and it's usually a topic that's sort of, high importance.
Yeah.
It's not just like, what's the latest outrage type of thing, Not like we do here at the Dominion Podcast. No. I'm just kidding.
No way.
Here we are again, rage baiting all sorts of people.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So what are we talking about tonight?
Well, I thought it would be good, difficult, but necessary for us to give some biblical analysis and response to the Tumbler Ridge tragedy. And that was the shooting that took place last week at a high school in British Columbia, at a little town called Tumbler Ridge. And the reason for that is, one, it was a catastrophic event. And I actually think that not only the event, but the reaction and the response of the police and the mainstream media and the politicians to it was very revealing of the nature of the days that we live in and the society that we find ourselves surrounded in. And we need to look at these things with clear eyes. This was not I guess my main point was this was not a random event at all. This was an entirely predictable event in some ways.
And an event that's been happening quite a bit
in
the last number of years.
Yeah, and will continue to happen.
Yeah.
As a consequence of the toleration of the requiring of telling horrific lies to children. And so I think that we should give a little bit of a recap. For those who don't know, an 18-year-old man, Jesse Van Rootselaar, murdered his mother and brother, who was 11.
At home.
And then went to his former high school and murdered 5 students, all of whom were aged 12 and 13, before finally taking his own life. Part of the reason beyond the tragedy of the loss of children's lives and the rarity of a school shooting in Canada that this took, kind of went so viral was because he identified as transgender. And obviously, transgender in one sense is not a real thing, but he claimed that identity, right? And he, quote unquote, started a transition, which again is not actually possible, but went through a psychological and I don't know to what degree physical, self-torture event at age 12 or 13. So very young. He was, in his own admission online, on antidepressants, antipsychotics. He was known to police who visited. He was placed in either custody or basically mental health care in the past. The firearms were seized from the home in the past. It was well known that he was a high-risk individual, a violent individual, a deeply disturbed individual. And, in the end, he committed these heinous atrocities. And so, although this is a rare event, I think that it's not random. And I think that it will actually happen more and more often in the days ahead, sadly. And it is the inevitable consequence of the corruption and the lies and the perversion that we've been tolerating, if not actively participating in as a society.
Yeah.
And unless you understand that, if you think this is random, then you can't actually learn anything from this, right? If you think this is an exception to the rule, rather than the inevitable consequence of your actions, then you're not going to learn the lesson that the Lord would have you to learn.
This was one of the most telling things about the response. I know you want to get into the response later, but there was no acknowledgement of the quite obvious disturbance of this person.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were, pretending to be the opposite gender and had probably taken all sorts of, maybe hormone replacements and that sort of stuff at a young age, which is not good for you. And then now, as you say, on other antipsychotics, antidepressants, like that didn't even come into play.
Yeah.
It's like, it's gun violence and even some more reprehensible hot takes than that. But the fact that wasn't even brought up is very telling about where we're at.
Yeah, and I should, before we get into the bad, it does sound as though I read, I think in the National Post, that the RCMP officers were on scene within 2 minutes, 120 seconds. Their thing was several blocks away. And they went there quickly, and they went in right away. And because they went in right away, they were able to draw the fire and the attention of Jesse, who then took his own life. And this should be commended and honored because it is police policy since Columbine to not wait for backup and to go into the school. And that should be the reaction, not just of police, but any adult.
Yeah.
Because if there's an active shooter, the only people being shot at are innocent children, right?
Yeah.
So there was a video that came out, terrible incident in the United States, actually, which was very controversial. And there was another school shooting. And the school, and I watched the tapes of not the shooting, but the police in the hallways were they there for 30 minutes or something? It was an obscene amount of time. They would not go in. They just wouldn't go in.
Wasn't a guy getting his hair cut and his kid was in the school and he heard what was happening and he stopped getting his hair cut. The barber had a shotgun and he went in and he's one of the guys that took him down.
I don't remember who did, but I mean, you would.
It was something like that.
Yeah, good for that guy.
Basically, somebody had to show up and tell the cops, what are you doing?
And the cops wouldn't let parents in.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't go in. You could watch the video of them congregating in the hall, and it's like the policy and the training for the police is that if there's a school shooting, whoever shows up has to go in.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, could you die? Of course, you're a man. Forget about police officer. You are a man. If it's a violent person and children, that's your job. And if you're down, next one. If he has to stack bodies, then it is what it is. But you cannot let the gap. You cannot let there be nothing between violence and children.
Well, and if it went down in BC, like you said, it seems like with a lot of these people, as soon as there's any armed resistance, it's game over.
Yeah.
And they're either going to take their own life or, they're going to flee.
Yeah.
Right? So you're putting yourself in danger, but that's the only way to end it.
That's a job. There's no good outcome here.
Yeah.
It's either children or you, and it's got to be you every time. So, we want to, if this was the case, commend those RCMP officers and honor them for it seems like a rare display of bravery in our culture these days. It was good to read about that.
Yes.
So it could have been a whole lot worse. As horrific as it was. And there is still, I believe, a young girl fighting for her life. So be praying for her as well. And she wasn't expected to make it, but today, anyways, she was still with us in the land of the living. Today. So
it sounded, the update I read said that there was no imminent danger of death, but there's going to be brain damage,
of course,
that sort of thing. And so, either way, even if she survives, she'll be very different.
Yeah. So pray for them.
Yeah.
So what is going on here? There's many layers to this that we have to discuss, but in a broad kind of general level, Paul in Romans talks about the consequences and the punishment, the wrath of God that has been revealed against all sin and unrighteousness of men. And particularly our refusal to acknowledge God as God and to honor him as God and to give thanks to him for all that he's done and to praise him. Well, the consequence of this is not, a slightly less fulfilling life. It's catastrophic.
Yeah.
And what the Bible calls idolatry results in what is referred to in Romans 1:28 as a debased mind or a worthless mind. The image being used here is of a coin that's of no value, right? And it doesn't serve the purpose for which it is actually supposed to. There's no value here. And this is a result, it says, of God actually giving them up to a debased mind. And so again, what's happening here is that we are given over in the sense that our depraved minds run wild without restraint. And elsewhere, I think it's Paul too talks about people, in this same passage, or is it elsewhere? Inventors of evil. I think that's another passage.
No, I think it's further down in here. I think you're right. They're gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, heartless, ruthless.
But somewhere in the New Testament talks about that, inventors of evil. But the idea of God giving someone over to a debased or a depraved or to a reprobate is another word that's used here, mind, is a mind that is untethered from reality, and it is just running without restraint towards its sinful impulses.
Yes.
And that is a horrific thought, because especially for us, we've grown up in a society that practices largely restraint. Like we take for granted that there is a measure of self-restraint amongst the citizenry, right? That we aren't characterized by random chaos and untethered, explicit external evil, the way that many people have experienced it throughout the world. Well, part of that is just the consequence of the Christian faith, that there have been a lot of Christians, and that they self-control is a fruit of the actual Spirit. But someone who's given over to a debased mind doesn't have that restraint. They don't actually have that control. And the result of it is all manner of unrighteousness, evil, covetousness, malice, envy, murder, strife, deceit, maliciousness, gossip, slander, hating God, insolent, haughty, boastful, and inventors of evil. It's right there. Disobedient to parents, foolish, faithless, heartless, ruthless. Like this is like, for Paul, I mean, this is he just went off on this point, hey? And though they know God's righteous decree and that those who practice them deserve death, they not only do it, but give approval to those who practice it. So they're suicidal. Their lusts and their sinful passions are suicidal.
Suicidal, and they want to take others with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
They want to take other people with them. And so at the bottom of this isn't, the guy's immediate family or his background or, education or the doctors or the media or all of these contributing factors, his own, depravity. What's going on here is a society that is increasingly in the grips of sin.
Yeah.
And dead. And the reason I extend this out beyond him was because a major part of the story was the response of the law enforcement officials and specifically the RCMP, and then the media that followed suit and the politicians. So the RCMP sent out an emergency notification on the cell phones. That you probably hear those ringing on your cell phones every once in a while. They do a test, and sometimes it's real. They sent one out, and they said that the suspect was a female in a dress, it wasn't even saying woman in a dress, which is still incorrect, but they would argue that a woman is a gender identity, but female is just a biological term.
Yeah.
Like male and female are biological terms. So the fact that you would tell people that a female in a dress is someone that you ought to look out for is extremely dark. It means that when the RCMP was sending a message to the public to warn them of a deranged, psychotic, murderous shooter, they lied to them about their identity. And this kind of started, the other RCMP guy referred to them as a gun person, not a gun man.
Yeah.
And, the mainstream media was very slow to talk about their identity. The only reason I think this actually came out the way it did was because Cosman from Juno News broke the story that it was a trans-identifying individual. Otherwise, I think they would have just tried to sweep that under the rug, as their actions demonstrate. And so I think what they were doing was not trying to determine the facts, because it's the journalist's role to determine the facts.
Yes, it used to be.
Like, it's not your job to just parrot what the state tells you. You need to verify. You need to determine these things. Anyways, I think they were just preparing their PR. That's what they were doing. It had nothing to do with the investigation or public safety or whatever, anything like that. So this kind of, in the face of a horrific tragedy, to see law enforcement and the media and the politicians politicizing it, actively lying about the situation, was extremely dark.
Yeah.
And that's why I bring up the nature of the debased and the reprobate mind.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. If you're already lying, you're not just going to stop lying now.
Yeah.
But I think the point Paul's making in Romans chapter 1 is that lies lead to this.
Yes.
And it's not just the lie about the gender stuff. Like, so, you know, when you suppress the truth, this is the outcome.
Yeah.
And that's not where the suppression started.
No.
Right? The suppression started further back when we stopped worshiping God.
Yeah.
Right? So when we suppress the truth of who God is and the fact that we ought to worship him, the other lies start creeping in.
Yeah.
And they get bigger and bigger and bigger to now we're the point where we, it's just this insanity is the truth for people.
So a people in a nation that is characterized by lies will be a people in a nation that will be characterized by violence and murder and unrighteousness and all the things that we listed in Romans 1 because they go hand in hand. And we've believed the lie that we can tell lies without consequence.
Yep.
That you can have such a thing as a white lie. Well, there is no white lie. And so I think what this revealed is what I've been calling the sacredness of our lies. Like the fact that you would lie to the public about an active shooter, and then you would lie to the public following about the identity of them further multiple times. The RCMP officer in the press conference corrected the reporter and said that it was a female. You know, when the reporter referred to the shooter as as a man, he actually corrected the reporter. Well, that is what is happening here. Well, you are demonstrating that your lie is sacred.
Yep.
And your lie is more sacred than even these children. Your lie is more sacred than the public safety. Your lie is more sacred because you are sacrificing the truth for that lie. You're protecting it. You're preserving it. You're demonstrating that it's sacred. And that is extremely dark. And I think a lot of Canadians have trouble with this because even the cowardly disgrace of a human being who uttered those words seems like a, well-mannered, even-tempered, smooth talking individual, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, that's what evil looks like.
Yes. It's a lot subtler.
It's a lot subtler. And if you were thinking that everyone can understand, the tranny shooting kids as evil, they are physically deranged. They're kind of manifesting and externally they're evil. But the guy who lied about that guy and lied about those children, that guy is just as evil. You know what I mean? It's the same kind of darkness and the same kind of sin. And Canadians have no category for this. We think as long as someone is polite and respectable and doesn't raise their voice and presents a certain kind of tone in the things that they do, that they're actually a good person. This is a big reason for the derangement surrounding Trump. Not just here, but down in America too. It's not often substantive disagreements with things that he does. It's like they can't tolerate someone of his temperament.
Yeah.
Whereas someone like Obama, who's a really friendly, likable, eloquent, nice guy, or Justin Trudeau, right?
Yeah.
They like Justin Trudeau, even though he is, by all definition and metrics, been catastrophic for this nation. They liked him because of his socks and his hair and his demeanor.
Yeah.
Like we're just the most shallow people, right? So that was the first thing I wanted to point out is like Canada is a place that values our lies and we consider them sacred. The other point that we've already discussed is the connection in the Bible between violence and lies. And again, this is not random. John 8:44, you are of your father the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand to the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character. He is a liar and the father of lies. So he was a murderer and a liar. And these things are inseparable. And the reason is that a lie being not true cannot exist on its own. The truth can stand on its own, but a lie actually needs to be supported in other ways because it doesn't correspond to reality. So there needs to be hiding, there needs to be shaming, coercing, causing fear. And the end of the road of those coercive measures is murder. Like the last and final stage of preserving the lie is murder. And that's what you see this young man doing. Like, he was told and he believed a lie about himself at the deepest level. And he sought to live his life with that lie. He sought to suppress the truth in unrighteousness. And everyone around him sought to suppress the truth in unrighteousness. And all that did, it didn't actually make the lie true. It didn't make it happen. And so what he did is he blamed everyone around him for making him feel like it wasn't true, And this is a kind of insidious.
It's the cognitive dissonance. It's like, if everybody affirms the lie, then I'll feel good.
Yeah.
And no matter how many people affirm it, you still don't feel good.
No.
Because it's a lie.
Yeah.
And so you have to act out. You have to, scream at your parents. You've got to threaten suicide. You've got to do all this other stuff just to support the whole thing.
Yeah, like his mom, he still ended up killing his mom and little brother. It's like so lies and murder always go together, and that should be a warning to us in our nation, because we are absolutely a nation of liars. All we do is tell lies, like a woman's choice, reproductive health. What in the world?
Maid.
Yeah, maid.
Yeah.
Like, these are
medical assistants in dying.
And everything.
It sounds so polite and nice.
Yeah. But the media lies, the politicians lie. Yeah. Lies are just normal all the time now. And on top of not liking lies and desiring the truth, we should be very prepared for and expect that violence is going to follow. Because lies actually, again, you have to protect them with violence. This also reveals, again, the failure of moral courage. I mean, that RCMP guy got up there and corrected the reporter and said that it was a female. Like, that guy lost his soul a long time ago.
Yeah. The HR department has had their way with him.
Yeah. And you just see a guy with no character, no soul, nothing of his masculinity left, just a shell of a beta, just honestly a worthless piece of whatever. Like, the kind of scumbag you have to be to just casually and callously lie about the identity of the guy, the man. He was 18.
To correct somebody about it in the middle of a press conference.
Yes, about dead kids.
Yeah, it's like, you can't just, even if you disagree, you can't just let it slide.
No.
You gotta say, oh, no, that wasn't a man.
Yeah. It's like your moral compass is so backwards and upside down. The scary thing is these people are charged with the responsibility of enforcing the law.
Yeah, no, this should be disqualifying in any normal society.
Absolutely.
If you're not able to tell the truth about the gender of the person, you can't have this job.
No. Yeah, because it's like, well, guilty and innocent, are those just interchangeable?
Well, apparently they are.
I
mean, we've seen so much miscarriage of justice over the last number of years in the courts, and a lack of justice being carried out. I mean, with the Emergencies Act debacle, it's like, has anybody been charged for that?
No.
Oh, no.
That's only the peasants.
You're just allowed to break the law, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not surprising that they're just lying through their teeth.
Yeah. And I think there's a cautionary tale here for all of us too, that the way that you get to be that kind of guy is you do what you know to be wrong
over
repeatedly.
And over. Yep. Maybe something little.
Maybe something little.
You get desensitized, right? It's the deceitfulness of sin.
Yeah. And then the seared conscience.
You're hardened by it.
Yeah. That's how you end up.
Don't be like Pharaoh, all right?
Yeah. Don't be like Pharaoh. Yeah. No, it was a stain. I'm glad that it went viral. I'm glad that everyone in the world is shaming this clown.
Yeah.
And I mean, nothing will happen, but I hope somehow word gets to him that he's a disgrace in the eyes of the people he's supposed to serve. And something should be done about that. And again, what this brings out is an inversion as well of the innocent and the guilty. This is what Isaiah talks about, woe to you who call good evil and evil good, who exchange light for darkness. And the moral inversion is, again, a symptom of unbelief. And we see that especially today in the inverting of the victim and the oppressor, right? And so even in the dialogue surrounding this, like the victims here are the dead children. They're the victims.
Yeah.
But people were treating or alluding to the fact that maybe this guy was a victim in this case.
Well, why would somebody do this unless they had been oppressed?
Yeah.
They must have been bullied or oppressed or something for them to resort to this.
Yeah.
Right, that's the mentality.
Yeah. Unless you're just a straight white guy.
Well, yeah, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Then there's no grievance big enough to justify you going and shooting somebody.
Yeah.
But yeah, in this case, go for it.
Yeah, they're the height of the victim totem pole,
Yeah.
right? And so it was just a despicable display of the inversion of good and evil and light and darkness. And this was made particularly evident in discussions surrounding mental health. And I thought we could discuss this a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's a major topic.
Yep.
It has been for some time.
The whole category of mental health has really exploded in the last 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah. And increasingly you see sinful behaviors being excused under the category of mental health. And so
they've got a name for everything. You can't focus to read a book, you've got this disease or this disorder.
Yeah.
If you can't whatever. Like every sin there's some disorder label they can give it. Which essentially takes away the responsibility.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
So part of what needs to happen is a recovery of biblical anthropology and a biblical understanding of sin and depravity and the consequences that has on our humanity. So every single human being's mind to some degree is broken. Like what happens here in Romans 1, that happened to all of us because all of us sinned and fell short of the glory of God. All of us have rejected God and failed to give him thanks. All of us have been given over to idolatry and to spiritual death. And so in a sense, every single human being in Adam has a broken mind. The mind that doesn't function as it ought to. The mind that doesn't comprehend or respond appropriately to the information around them. But
it's not, when you say broken, I mean, I think that still kind of lends itself to this shedding of responsibility. And I know you don't mean that, but we think, well, your car is broken. You can't expect it to operate correctly. But the sin problem, like what sin does is a twisting, and in a sense, it is a breaking, but there's still full responsibility.
So yes, in this passage, we see that the mind is broken, but there's still moral culpability.
Yeah.
So the actions that they do are still unrighteous. They're not morally neutral actions because the mind is depraved or debased. So there's one category. You can have a broken mind and you are still morally responsible. Now, another category as it relates to the fall is just our bodies are given over to death and decay.
Yep.
And so our mind is a part of our being that is given over to death and decay. So there are people who are born with what we might call mental or cognitive deficiencies or disabilities, which actually would remove a degree of responsibility from them. And we recognize this, that children and adults do not have the same level of moral responsibility because they don't possess the same knowledge. So and this is just a plain teaching of scripture that your responsibility and your knowledge correspond to one another. What's interesting is that in Romans 1, even though they have a debased mind, they have a knowledge of God that they're responsible for.
Right.
So
which they're suppressing.
Which they are suppressing.
Yeah.
So there's two categories I'm trying to talk about here when I say that they're kind of both thrown into the category of mental health and society. But someone who is born with a severe cognitive disability that they'll never progress past, the cognitive development of a 2-year-old is not judged on the basis of an adult's knowledge. They're judged according to the knowledge that they actually possess. So that's one kind of mental health issue. We used to refer to it as a mental disability, but that's no longer politically correct, or a cognitive disability or something. That's not the same thing as someone who has suppressed the truth and been given over to a debased mind and practices evil. You know what happens when you practice evil again and again? Your mind gets further destroyed.
And twisted.
Yeah. And we know this from studies that have been done on pornography, for example. It's even just the dopamine and the need for constant, not just gratification, but sensationalism and, the inability to focus and, the constant need for more and more pleasure, whatever the consequences that happen as a result of your sin. It's and the same thing happens with violence. Kids who play extremely violent video games become desensitized to violence. And if you watch violent content of people being hurt, you become desensitized to it. It's is there a way that those people develop mental health issues? Yeah. Does that mean if somebody watches perverted, grotesque material for 5 years in the basement and then decides to act on some of it, that they're not responsible for their decisions? No, it doesn't. And the problem is that guy gets lumped into the same category as the child who's born with a severe and rare birth defect.
Yeah.
It's all mental health. But it's no, but you're responsible for what you did.
Yep.
You're responsible for your suppression of the truth. You're responsible even for the brokenness of your mind.
We see this with people who abuse drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Right. So, they can't help it, right? Now they're addicted. It's they are. They have a physical dependency.
Yes.
But they did it to themselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You started it. You nursed it in a sense.
These are consequences.
Yeah.
And one of the consequences is that you become further and further enslaved to sin. But does that mean that you're not responsible for your sin? Absolutely not. That's one of the consequences, that it becomes easier for you to do things which you are more responsible for.
Yeah.
That's part of the judgment. So there should be absolutely no leniency for a grown man who commits these atrocities. You are responsible for it. Now, I think there are other people who are responsible as well.
Well, nobody lives in a vacuum, right?
No.
Yeah, and so I think I know where you're going with this, with the family and whatnot. It's you've got a dad who's not in the home.
Yeah.
There was strife between the parents. Who knows what happened there? I mean, I don't think we know enough to really say, but the father's not around. There's constant quarreling between them. So, that's a huge problem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least a part of this slaughter lies in the hands of people who perpetuated the lies and outlawed the truth. I mean, from politicians and lawmakers who enshrined demonic lies and outlawed the truth, Bill C-6. It's every single member of parliament, I think.
Every single one.
Unanimously voted to criminalize the truth about human identity and to enshrine into law the perpetuation of lies to children.
Yep.
Like, that is dark. And what you have as a result of that is an entire societal ecosystem where the teachers now are not only the public schools infused with gender identity ideology, which is child abuse. And it's one of the most insidious, depraved things I've ever heard of. Like, you tell little kids lies that lead to them mutilating themselves. Like, what is darker than that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's about as dark as it gets. But it's required that you lie, and it's forbidden that you tell them the truth. If the teacher and the parent and the doctor is not allowed to tell them the truth about this. And so you have teachers, doctors, social workers, parents, everyone under the law is not allowed to correct and to discipline and to instruct this young man when he's a boy at 12 years old. And before that, whenever these things were coming to his mind, which also, by the way, this is a social contagion. Yeah. This is conditioned in people. It's not, they've always been among, no. They have not always been among us.
No.
It's a demonic lie that literal demons are teaching and influencing people to teach to children. So there's a responsibility in the politicians. There's a responsibility in the teachers. There's a responsibility in the mother and in the father. I don't know. It sounds like he was forbidden from seeing, and there's definitely problems in Canada with the way that the courts side with the mother over the father as a bias in family disputes. And he's isolated from his father. And then after all of this, the police are right here and telling these lies still.
Yeah.
So there's responsibility go all around. And I think, to be honest with you, there's a responsibility on our society. Like, even if you put pronouns in your bio, if you put pronouns in your work email, if you have participated in this insidious lie to whatever degree, you do bear a culpability for what happened. It's, greater or lesser, albeit, but if you participated in the lie that led to this, there's a kind of moral responsibility that weighs on you. And I would even go further than that, and this is kind of maybe where we can wrap things up, is that we actually have a responsibility as Christians to testify to the truth.
That's right.
Not just not participate in the lie. It's not enough to go to work and not include your pronouns. You need to go to work. Yeah, you need to go and say, like, this is wrong. And you should especially be saying something knowing that this ideology targets children. Like, it doesn't go after private adults in the privacy of their home. It goes after kids in public schools. I mean, I almost that day went and burned a pride flag. And the thing that kept me from doing it was I didn't talk to my wife. And if I get arrested without telling her about this, she's going to, I'd feel bad for her.
Yeah.
And
no, that would not be a wise husbandly decision.
No, but it was like, what we need to do is demand that every pride flag and every public institution is immediately removed and burned.
You know what I've started seeing is anti-trans memes from homosexual groups.
Yeah.
Try to distance themselves from the triangle part of the flag.
Yeah.
And as I've been thinking about that, it just seems to me like a little too late. But also, it's like, why do you think that your lie should stop where it is and not carry on?
Yeah.
Like, you've already, in principle, allowed for this by not living as God has designed you.
Yeah.
What's the difference between that and just saying, well, I'm not what I look like?
Yeah. By what standard are you condemning them?
So it's like, there's no logical reason why, like, you're the stopping point where things won't go any further.
Yeah.
So I understand why they want to distance themselves, but from a worldview standpoint, you got no ground to stand on.
Yeah, that's not how it works, dude. It's like every idol's coming down.
Yeah.
When God told Israel to remove the idols, it was every single one of them. And so that's what we need to do. We need to repudiate every single lie, and we need to always and only tell the truth. And we need to confess that the only standard is God's law and word, and everything that doesn't align with that is wrong. It doesn't matter how comfortable or uncomfortable we are with it, or
how long we've been doing it.
Yeah, or how far down the spectrum we think it is. It's just like, we aren't the standard.
Yeah.
And the reason we're in this mess is because we have assumed that we are the standard. And so I hope that this is a wake-up call, not just to, I mean, of course, I hope none of our listeners, but if you have your kids in the public school, you need to pull them. And God forbid, any of you do, or maybe your grandchildren do, or your other family members do. You need to pray desperately for them. You need to ask for opportunities to talk to them. And you need to outline from the scripture, Ephesians 6, that it's the parents' responsibility to raise their children in the discipline and the instruction of the Lord. And you can delegate that to other Christians, but by definition, unbelievers can't raise your children in the Lord. They don't love or know the Lord. They don't operate according to the standard of his word. So you have no right to abdicate that responsibility and to delegate it to pagans. You just can't. On top of that, it's just objectively wrong. It's a dangerous situation for your children. It's always been dangerous when they're raised apart from God's word, but now the public schools have all demonstrated their allegiance. They've told you what they believe. They fly a flag outside almost every single one of them that tells you they hate the truth, they hate what is right, they hate what is good, they love their lies. Why would you ever take a child to that place and drop them off to be with those ghouls, for like 6, 7, 8 hours a day?
Yeah. And it's not really any better in the Catholic school part either. I know people think there's some big difference between them, but I mean, they're taking Caesar's money too, so they got to do all the same stuff that the public schools do.
Yeah. Yeah, we might have no money at KCCS, but we have none of Caesar's money, that's for sure.
In fact, Caesar's got some of our money.
Yeah, hey, we want that back.
Yeah, man, Caesar takes a lot of money to test water.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyways, those are kind of the notes that I just wanted to hit about that situation. And it's not a random event. It is very Canadian. And we need to repent, and we need to ask God to forgive us, and we need to pray regularly as believers for revival, because Canada is a very dark place.
Yeah.
So
a very sick, sinful place.
Mm-hmm.
So we pray for a move of the Spirit of God.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. We don't want to see the place we love and the people we love go down in judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So we ought to pray for opportunity to speak to people and winsomeness. No, I'm just kidding.
Your takeaway.
So that's my takeaway from this. So what you're saying is we should be real nice all the time and just stop being so hateful and mean. Okay, check.
We'll see you next week.
And cut. Where's the delete button on this? So what are you reading now?
I started Kuyper's Stone Lectures on Calvinism, and it's very good. I was reading the section on Calvinism and politics today, and trying to remember some of the points that he was making. But he basically thinks Calvinism is at the root of their system of governance in the Netherlands and in America and in England, which is true.
Yeah, I've heard that from secular historians as well.
Yeah, even in the lecture, he's saying this is not really a point of dispute from the educated, the people who know. It's just a dispute amongst the public.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's interesting, because it's still kind of the case.
It is, yeah. But when you look at Catholic countries versus Protestant countries, you see a difference in work ethic, government structure.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what they're getting at.
Yeah.
Likely.
Yeah. And well, even today it was interesting. I saw Prime Minister Carney saying that Canada is not a Christian nationalism is not a part of Canada. We have a civic identity, a civic nationalism.
What does that even mean? Like, what is he trying to say?
What they mean is that our identity as Canadians transcends the typical identifiers of religion, family, blood, this type of thing.
But that leaves like nothing other than statism.
I know. So it's actually a vacuous term, because it's like, okay, it is true
What's
that
left?
It's true that you can have more to your identity than your family or as an employer or as a student or whatever. You can have a shared civic identity. That is true, but it is not isolated. So a civic identity still includes all those other things.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where the logic goes wrong. It's like, and at the end of the day too, okay, well, what is our civic identity? Even if we could untether it from those things, which you can't, it's like, well, what does that even mean? Well, it's our shared values, and what are those?
Yeah.
And where do they come from? And even the idea that you can have a civic identity.
It's hard for them to even point out what those values are, but it's going to be, justice and order, and it's like, those
diversity.
I guess diversity is probably at the top of the list, but.
Well, he actually said that.
Oh yeah,
and that's an indication of what they mean. They mean that our identity is that we don't have one.
Yeah.
We don't have a Christian identity. We have an identity that is of no faith or all faiths, right? It's like
any faith but the one that actually formed our laws and culture.
Yeah. So anyways, it's good. I've read a lot of Kuyper in passing, and I've read a lot of people who've read a lot of Kuyper, but I'm trying to think through if I've ever read these lectures. I know my dad introduced me to them like I must have been like early 20s. He loved Abraham Kuyper.
Yeah.
And he mentioned
like a good Dutchman.
Yeah. I mean, he's the only guy I ever heard talk about Abraham Kuyper until Doug Wilson kind of thing. And
I think Joe Boot was my introduction to Abraham Kuyper.
Yeah.
I still haven't read any of his stuff, but
yeah, no, it's very helpful. And I'm probably not I'm gonna pick and choose parts of it.
Yep.
But that's what I'm reading. What about you?
Still in Dawn of Wonder.
Oh,
but
nice.
I just got a book at the KCCS board meeting last night. Joe Rigney book, Leadership and Emotional Sabotage.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to starting that.
Yeah.
Seems like a short read. So
Yeah.
probably able to digest that pretty quick.
Yeah. Nice.
Hopefully it gives me some tips on how to emotionally sabotage people, because I am horrible at that. I'm going to be honest.
It's like you think the point of the book is how to grow in your ability to inflict emotional sabotage.
No, it's going to be a great read.
Got to step up my game.
Man. Yeah. Learn some new tricks,
Just become a terror to Matthew at work.
I already am. Sorry, Matthew. Yeah. Well, what's next? What are we going to talk about next time? You got any ideas?
Well, we're going to start rolling out kind of our big project, which I haven't talked to you a whole lot about.
Okay.
But
is this the one where we talk about covenantal stuff and finally going to deal with this paedobaptism thing, or what?
Well, we could do that too. You've been asking for that one for a long time, eh? Yeah, we need to get one for the good guys, eh, Jared?
Yeah.
We've been taking some hits over the last couple of years. But,
yeah, we have. Yep. That's fine. We love our...
We can do that. Our big kind of overarching goal is to spend the next year rolling out what we're going to call the Dominion Project.
Yeah, you have told me a bit about this.
Yeah, and so we want to prepare Dominion Declaration, which is essentially a manifesto for a flourishing society. It's a biblical Kuyperian vision that includes, God, the individual, the family, the state, the church, these types of things.
Yeah.
How does this work together? What does a healthy and flourishing society look like? And our goal is that it will be a flag to rally around for people, for churches, for individuals, for pastors, to say that, yeah, this is essentially what the Bible teaches about the nation and about a flourishing Christian society. And this is the framework that we operate out of. And so what we're going to do in order to prepare that document is we've prepared an outline of about 10 to 12 different themes that we're going to be covering. And so Dominion is going to take a theme per month for the next roughly year. We're starting in March. And we're going to write 4 articles on each thing, 1 per week for the month. We're going to bring in guest contributors every single month for every theme. And I'd like at least one of our 2 podcasts each month to be on that theme as well. And so that will hopefully help us really develop these things so that by the end of it, we're at a better place to prepare a theological document. And again, the theological document, the declaration, is a practical application. We're not trying to replace a creed or a confession. We're trying to actually work out of them to make a contemporary application to some of these things. And, it in one sense is modest, but apart from, the Niagara Declaration, there hasn't really been, and that was more for a particular time.
Yeah.
There hasn't been anything to deal with the contemporary issues surrounding the nation and ethnicity and what is a citizen and the role of religion and these types of things. Everyone's having these conversations on social media and random podcasts. And we'd like to just put up a website with the declaration, have a bunch of talking head short videos. We'd like to have a section on cultural heresies where we just discuss like all the isms, communism, liberalism, individualism, collectivism, multiculturalism, all of these things, explain how they are in some way a distortion of the Bible's teaching.
Yeah.
Very quick, digestible little things. And so that's what we're working on. That's the project over the next year or so, with other content sprinkled in. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to that.
Yeah. But we'll get our shots in at the baby sprinklers. Don't worry.
Did you see that Florida Man news article about the guy in Florida got arrested trying to baptize an alligator at a Waffle House or something like that?
Is this real?
With iced tea. Yeah, he had like a jug of iced tea. He was trying to baptize an alligator in the Waffle House.
Cy Robinson?
Well, like it must have been a Presbyterian because you can't dunk an alligator in a jug of iced tea. So
yeah,
he's definitely sprinkling.
Oh yeah, just a water gun.
He looked like the kind of guy that would try and baptize an alligator too. Spent a little too much time, drinking the other tea. All right, well, we'll leave you with the usual call out. Let me hit this nice shiny red button here. May he have dominion from sea to sea and from the river to the ends of the earth. May all kings fall down before him, all nations serve him. We'll see you next time.